Come one, come all. Welcome, all ages, in fact, to Kickin' with the Ricketts, redefining retirement. I'm your co-host, Doug Turnbull, here with Gerry Ricken back in the house, and, of course, his daughter, Heidi Ricken-Provost with Ricken Financial. You can get in touch with Heidi, Gerry, and the whole team at rickenfinancial.com or dial them up 314-442-6476. Serving the Show Me State, St. Louis, Missouri, and surrounding areas.
Oh, yeah.
And I mentioned the office here. You're in the office. The phone, I know, rings off the hook. The contact forms pour in all the time. But the word office is about to have a new meeting for you all. So how are you dealing with the move here?
Well, moving sucks.
End of show.
Yep.
And we'll talk
Mic
about
drop.
it.
It's been fun.
Yeah, our definition of fun, Doug, is different than anybody else's because this weekend, this past weekend, we spent hours and hours and hours upon hours cleaning. And
With four adult human beings doing so for hours and hours and hours and hours and hours.
And,
Oh, gosh.
the old adage, I don't do windows. Guess what? Gerry Ricken does windows.
Now, what does
I
it mean
did
when you
lots
say
of
you do
windows.
windows? Well, what did you do?
Oh,
What
I
did
had
you
to
do
clean the
windows?
windows. The suite had been empty for a while.
Yeah.
And there was some leakage from the roof, which has now been fixed. But the windows had lots of stains on them. So I, cleaned
And
windows.
these are like, what, 9-foot tall windows?
Maybe 10-foot
Maybe
tall
10.
windows. 10-foot tall windows that are like 10
Gosh.
feet.
Standing
Okay.
on chairs to clean them and everything. But
Yeah.
also, let's just say, if I ever do a construction project again, if whoever does the sheetrock doesn't cover stuff in plastic, I will show up a week in advance and cover it all in plastic so I don't have to do what we did this weekend.
Because there was everywhere.
Or else they'll end up wrapped in plastic and floating down the Mississippi. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, for real.
That's right.
Yes. So, hey, everyone should be thrilled because in our new office space, not only are all the chairs you're going to be sitting on nice and clean, they have even been like shampooed and everything. So we are
wow.
good to go. Oh, yeah.
And we should point out you're moving offices, but for people that may have been by or maybe they've heard about this and even driven by, haven't quite gone inside, you're still going to be on the same property, right? Explain.
Oh, yeah.
Not only are we in the same property, but we'll be using the same restrooms. We're actually in the same
perfect.
building. Yeah.
Yeah, we are. Yeah.
But fun fact, we've been in this building since 2008. And drum roll, please. Thank you. We're moving to the first floor for the first time.
Woohoo.
You're moving to the first floor?
For the first time. Yes.
Yes. Come on. The first floor, ladies and gentlemen. That is fantastic.
It is going to be amazing.
If you've ever been to our building, you might feel like you're in the movie Rocky if you park in the front of our building because you got to go up all the steps and then go up all the steps to see us on the second floor here. But from now on, you can park in the back and walk right into our office.
No, that's fantastic. Okay, so you don't have to go up the steps. You're on the first floor.
Yeah.
It's pretty much like a motel. Park and go right in, basically.
Hotel,
I love
motel.
it. I love
As soon
that.
as you walk through the door, just head left and we are literally right there.
If you go left, we're right there.
If you go left, we are there.
Something like that. And isn't that the funny thing about the English language? Like when parents are teaching their kids how to drive, they're like, wait, am I doing this right? Right. No, I said turn left. It's like you got to say correct. You got to say right for the direction and correct for like affirmative. Okay.
Or you say
Exactly.
east,
Otherwise
north,
you're going to.
Dad,
west, south.
we're not going there. Okay. When we learned how to drive, it was not left or right. It was north, south, east, west.
You have to learn
So
your
I still
directions.
say that sometimes, and some of my friends are like, huh?
Yeah.
Left or right? And I'm like, well, what are you facing?
If you got the GPS on, that at least gives you a little bit of a clue, but it is tough to do. So on our last episode, it was just Heidi and me, and we spoke about market volatility, how some people with advisors are freaking out because they're just all in the market, but basically three things with diversification and such you should look for as you're trying to navigate what is undoubtedly a tumultuous time there in the market. Today, in that same vein, Heidi, we're going to talk about the difference between someone that just looks after your money and someone that helps chart out a plan, right?
Absolutely.
And the two of you did that, and I'm sure you were experiencing FOMO with me not being with you.
Obviously.
But now that the
Not
whole
as
team
much
is
as
back,
the FOMO was when it was just the two of you and I was gone. But
that
yes.
is true. Yeah, that's very, 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 very true. So what we want to talk a little bit about is what really you should receive if you pay fees.
Yeah, because if you're going to pay a planner for fees,
There has to be something to those fees. Now, what do you
yeah,
pay
you got to
for?
have some value in there.
Fees are good if they add value.
Yeah.
They're not good if there's a lack of value. So we want to talk about the value we provide.
Yeah, absolutely. And why it's important to work with a holistic planner versus a simple money manager who is only looking after your asset.
Yeah.
But, someone who's helping you plan for every facet that could also affect your assets.
Yeah, like so when you retire, we have some people come in and say, okay, what are you going to do with your time in retirement? They've never been asked that question. They've never thought about that question. And they look at us like a deer in the headlights and they say, what do you mean? Well, what's going to feed your soul? What's your purpose going to be? Because so many times people go to work every day and they love what they do, or maybe they don't love what they do, but they're excited to.
Hey, if you don't love what you do, reach out right now. We'll help get you retired.
We need to change that. But you love what you do because it feeds your soul. You're around people. You're doing things. You're making an impact. Then all of a sudden you close that door for the last time. What's going to happen to you? What's going to happen to you emotionally or physically? Mentally? What's going to happen? And we want to make sure that you're feeding your soul in retirement. And I don't think a lot of people talk about that. At least the people that come into us that say, hey, I've got a guy. Well, everybody has a guy when they come to us. But then we've never had that question posed to us before. So we are different.
For sure. So there's the way you help someone with making sure, hey, asking the right questions. Are you feeding your soul? All right. And then there's just down to brass tacks as well. And I'm saying TACKS, but of course there's TAX that you all get into also. So what are some of the other ways that a financial planner, if someone's paying fees for one, what else should they be giving you?
Well, yes, the asset allocation is incredibly important, and you need to make sure whatever you're invested in is matching your risk tolerance. So the investment plan is a piece of it, but it's not all of it. So that is one piece in there. You need to make sure, and I harped on this last time too, but whatever you're invested in truly needs to match your risk tolerance, and that needs to be updated frequently as life changes and as the world changes. Because think about it right now. If you were sitting here in a time where we had unheard of, historical highs in the market, your risk tolerance may be a little bit different than when those lows hit too. Because, we need to make sure we're meeting ourselves, yes, when the market goes up, but more importantly, when it comes back down too. So the investment plan is a piece of it.
And that's true. That's true. But investment planning is one thing, but income planning is critical in retirement. Income planning, as long as you have blood pressure, we want to make sure that you have income. Let me say that again. As long as you have blood pressure, we want to make sure you have income. And the best kind of income is guaranteed income. So what we do is we look at Social Security. We look at pensions. What do you have available to you that provides guaranteed income for the rest of your life? How can we maximize those, especially for Social Security? When one of the two of you passes in a relationship, marriage, the lowest Social Security benefit goes away. So we want to make sure that the maximized Social Security benefit is available for the survivor.
And if your Social Security and pensions aren't covering how much you're going to be spending in retirement, we need to have some stable income coming in outside of that as well, and can help you plan for that.
And when you say stable income, it may not necessarily be off the investments that are in the market.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, because that could be very unstable sometimes or unstable sometimes. So look, there's the plan. Like, hey, I have my goals. I want to, let's say I want to live off of, I'm just making up a number, $5,000 a month. Okay, I'm going to live off $5,000 a month, so I need to have $60,000 a year. But then there's the how do I get to the plan? There's basically the destination and the route, right? And so you got to have a planner is not just helping you come up with a great, what is it, life board? What do they call them?
Oh, yeah.
Life board?
Your vision board.
Vision board.
That's
the
it.
vision board.
They're not just helping you come up with a vision board. They're helping you plan the things that you want, of course, but helping you find the best route to get to that vision, right?
Yeah, exactly. And you just talked about $60,000 a year. If that is your number, there are two ways you can get to that number. There's pre-tax and post-tax. And Heidi, wants to talk a little bit about taxes and what we do there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, we know this. There are two unavoidables in life, death and taxes. So we got to just plan for it. And I think if you've ever listened to our podcast before or had a conversation with us, you know that we don't shy away from taxes and forward planning for your taxation. So in every piece of the puzzle, when it comes to your financial plan, we need to make sure that you have taxes forefront in your mind. Because at the end of the day, if you have $60,000 gross coming in, it may not be $60,000 net after tax. So we need to make sure whatever that number is that you want coming in, Yeah, it's the after-tax number, but also you're planning for taxation and making sure that each piece of your puzzle is tax advantaged, and you're taking advantage of the tax code and the confines of it so that you know what the taxation is, and it's not going to ruin your plan, but just help support your plan in the future.
And when we look at holistic retirement planning, we believe that the most important area you can focus in on is taxation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because retirees are taxed different from those of us who are working.
Yeah, and they're disadvantaged from a tax perspective.
Yeah, absolutely. So it always has to be a part of the conversation.
Well, and I think that there's so many different parts of the conversation. Someone could just gloss over. I would, if it's me, I'm glossing over going, there's no way in the world I could deal with that. However, you have encountered people very recently, right, that have thought, oh, again, we'll go back to what do these fees pay for? And people go, well, man, I can't, whatever that number is, I can't handle that. Like, what do you tell them when they start going, I could do that myself?
Well, you know what? There are a lot of DIY projects in the world, but some stuff you don't have access to unless you are in this industry like us. And if what you've been doing by yourself works, great. When you meet with us, here's what we do. We meet you where you are. So we're going to see what you've been doing over the course of time, and we're going to forecast that through age 100. Does it work? Maybe it does work, and you don't need the assistance of someone. But is there room for improvement? And if there's any improvement that we can provide to you, it's probably going to be worth the fee in the end, because we're going to provide that value to you, but the plan for each step of the way. This is not something you should be doing DIY because it's going to add more stress in your life, and you may not have access to all the tools that you need in order to combat the future. So it's worth a reach out to us to see if we're the right fit by looking at rickenfinancial.com or giving us a call at 314-442-6476. Because at the end of the day, if we can help you, why not rely on the professionals for some assistance and make sure that everything stands the test of time?
And one of the things Heidi just mentioned was tools available. Tools available. Well, just think about healthcare for the rest of your life. Mm-hmm. What's that going to look like? How are you going to be protected in the event you need additional care? And we all are aging up, and we're living longer, but that doesn't mean we're living longer, healthier.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Our health typically deteriorates over time. So in the event you can't do two of your activities of daily living, what's that look like? How do you want to be cared for? How do you want to pay for that? That's something that we look at with everyone. We want to just make sure that you're covered. And even if you retire early, how does your health care work? How does your health insurance work?
But we also want to make sure you have access to the type of care that you want, because you should be in control of that.
Yeah.
And the best point in time to have that conversation is before you're sick.
Yeah.
If you call us and you need long-term care insurance, for instance, you can't get it.
Yeah. By the time you need it, it's too late. So we need to have a plan in place, but we want to make sure you think through, okay, if this were me, because the reality is 7 out of 10 of us are going to need long-term care at some point in time.
Yeah.
If this is me, what type of care do I want, and how do I have control over it and access to it? And that's where the plan comes in there. But also, looking at health insurance, if you're going to retire before age 65, how's health insurance going to come in here? How much are you going to budget for? What does that look like? And then once you're over 65, what kind of supplement or advantage plan do you need? And is that covering all your needs? And
does it make sense to stay on your company plan if you're still working, or move on to Medicare?
Yeah, absolutely. So we take a look at all of that to see how it really fits into your plan. And life insurance, okay?
Leaving that legacy, if you want to leave one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some people meet with me and they say, I don't even want to talk about life insurance because I don't really need it. Well, you may not need life insurance for the death benefit, because as you get older, your debts are paid off, life is changing, you don't have dependents, literally dependent on you.
Yeah.
Your life insurance needs for death benefit do change. But you might be able to utilize life insurance for living benefits, which could provide a lot of assistance in your financial future. Yeah. So say you do need long-term care, like we mentioned, you can use your life insurance for that. Or say you're sitting here and you have some debts to pay off. Whoever you're working with, whoever's planning for you, should be helping you pay off those debts and coming up with a plan for how you tackle them, instead of just saying, let's build your investment, and in the future you can dump it at the debt. Let's come up with a plan for that. And you might be able to utilize life insurance for the living benefit of becoming your own bank and paying off your debt.
And the other thing life insurance could also provide is, we talked about taxes, and we talk about taxes a lot because we love tax planning. I can't say that enough. And we need people to tax plan. So when you look at tax strategies and tax planning, we look at life insurance as an alternative to bonds, because it's a fixed income basically that you can use, and a fixed income alternative that you can use that can provide tax-free cash flow in the future.
There's so many different facets of this. So if someone's got a question about it, the first talk with you is complimentary, right? When we were discussing fees, it's not pick up this number and it's going to cost you $6 a minute. I won't say what kind of number I was thinking of when I mentioned that. Okay, they're going to dial it back into the 90s there, but no, really, like it's a complimentary first call just to see if it's the right fit, correct?
Absolutely. We don't believe in charging you to pop the hood. We want to see what's going on underneath it. And, as I mentioned earlier, we meet you where you are. So we need a good understanding of where you are to see if there is any room for improvement or growth.
Right. And it will cost you in time. And it should cost you in time, because more people spend more time planning their annual vacation than their entire retirement, 30 plus years.
Unless they're like Doug and they have someone else plan their vacation.
That
awesome,
is true. But
That's true. That was an amazing trip to the Azores. Yes. Yeah. But here's the deal. This occurred to me when you brought up the value of fees. Okay. All of us, and I mean, we don't just go out to eat to have somebody do the work. We go out to a restaurant because it's enjoyable for a lot of people to be in that atmosphere. Not just the people you're with, but just another atmosphere. Maybe it's a place that has a lot of racket or a little bit of live music or great decor or even a really nice staff. But also we do pay because somebody else cooks the food, because they cook that burrito over and over, not the same burrito, but that recipe over and over and over. And they probably do it more efficiently, and it probably tastes better than if I bought a bag of El Paso tortillas at the store and tried to do it at home. Okay, right?
Yep.
That's exactly right. And there's a lot of preparation in that too. Not only the cooking, but the preparation.
Yeah.
Even the most simple meal that we do at home, it probably doesn't, in a lot of cases, doesn't taste as good than if a professional chef is the one doing that meal. So with that being said, we are willing to bake fees into all those things and all the content that is streamed to us, and all of that, certainly with one of this important multi-decade facet of your life, it may be worth considering the fees there. And Gerry Rick and Heidi Ricken-Provost, they look at this stuff all the time. Dial them up, 314-442-6476. Get that comprehensive and complimentary first look at what's going on there. And you all did a great job of explaining just the difference between somebody's looking after investments and then actually helping you chart a plan. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely. And one last thing, keep that legacy in mind. Everything we do, you need to make sure it's set up for the legacy to leave behind in the future. And if you're going to go through the painstaking process of setting up a trust, make sure it's funded. We're going to look at the beneficiaries and the trusts and all of that, make sure it's, signed, sealed, delivered, and ready.
Yeah, for sure. Don't forget the future, and don't forget what you've done in the past and how to best allocate it so it helps in the future. Well, folks, thank you so much for listening there. It's been great. It's great to have both of you all back in the seat, okay, instead of doing the one-off shows. We've all had some vacation, some time to think, and it's time to get to the grindstone and do some more planning there. But before we go, we cannot forget, Gerry, that every day
is a holiday.
And life is short, Heidi.
Laugh hard.
It is a good time laughing and experiencing all of this with you both here on Kicking with the Ricketts. Be sure to find the show on Apple, Spotify, iHeart, all of those different places, and check out the past episodes, including just what Heidi did most recently there, working in Boston, the Invest in Women Conference. That was so good. So we thank you all. Have a great day. We'll catch you very soon here on Kicking with the Ricketts, Redefining Retirement. Gerry Ricken is a licensed insurance professional, and Heidi Ricken-Provost is an investment advisor representative.
Insurance products are offered through the insurance business Ricken Financial LLC. Ricken Financial LLC is also an investment advisory practice that offers products and services through Impact Partnership Wealth LLC, a registered investment advisor. IPW does not offer insurance products. The insurance products offered by Ricken Financial LLC are not subject to investment advisor requirements. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal. Any references to protection, safety, or lifetime income generally refer to fixed insurance products, never securities or investments. Insurance guarantees are backed by the financial strength and claims paying abilities of the issuing carrier. This podcast is intended for informational purposes only. It is not intended to be used as the sole basis for financial financial decisions, nor should it be construed as advice designed to meet the particular needs of an individual situation. Ricken Financial LLC is not permitted to offer, and no statement made during the show shall constitute tax or legal advice. Our firm is not affiliated with or endorsed by the U.S. government or any governmental agency. The information and opinions contained herein provided by third parties have been obtained from sources believed to be reliable, but accuracy and completeness cannot be guaranteed by Ricken Financial LLC.
Please remember that converting an employer plan account to a Roth IRA is a taxable event. Increased taxable income from the Roth IRA conversion may have several consequences. Be sure to consult with a qualified tax advisor before making any decisions regarding your IRA.
Tax preparation and tax advisory services are offered through Ricken Financial. These services are not offered by IPW and are not subject to investment advisor requirements. These services referenced are an outside business activity not offered through or supervised by IPW.